Good morning, children. Today we will discuss about the second chapter, that is the fundamental unit of life. So this is from the biology section. So let's start a chapter. Cell. What is cell? We are already aware of the cell in the lower class. We have studied about cells. The cell, it is the structural and functional unit of life. So cell, you can define the cell as the structural and functional unit of life. Cell, it is discovered by Robert Hooke in 1665. So it is discovered by Robert Hooke in 1665. So he examined a cork slice. So what is cork? It is the bark of a tree obtained, and he examined that cork under a primitive microscope. So this is what he saw when he examined the cork under a primitive microscope. So he discovered dead cells because he has examined the cork under the microscope, and the cork, the cells are already dead. So therefore he discovered dead cells. So this is an important point. Robert Hooke discovered dead cells, and the cell structure resembles honeycomb, as we can already see in the picture that the structure of the cell resembles that of a honeycomb. So next, Antony van Leeuwenhoek in 1674 discovered free living cells in a pond water with the improved microscope. So another one scientist, his name is Antony van Leeuwenhoek. In 1674 he discovered free living cells in a pond water with an improved microscope. So he discovered living cells. So Antony van Leeuwenhoek, which is another scientist, he discovered living cells with the help of an improved microscope that he built by himself. So as you can see, so this is the improved microscope that Antony van Leeuwenhoek built by himself, and with the help of this he discovered living cells. So Robert Hooke, he discovered dead cells, and Antony van Leeuwenhoek, he discovered living cells. Again, Robert Brown discovered nucleus in 1831, and Parkinson coined the term protoplasm for the fluid substance of the cell in 1839. So Robert Brown, another one scientist, he discovered nucleus in the year 1831, and Parkinson, this is another one scientist, he coined the term protoplasm for the fluid substance of the cell in 1830. So let us conduct an activity. So in this activity, take a small piece of onion bulb, then remove the thin sheet from inside of the onion. So this is the skin of the onion called epidermis. Just when you take the onion bulb, just peel a thin sheet of layer is there inside the onion layer. So just remove that carefully with the help of a tweezer. So this is the skin of the onion, that is skin of the onion bulb, and this is known as epidermis. So place the peel on a glass slide and carefully and observe it under a, after that place the onion peel in a glass slide and observe it under a compound microscope. So what is compound microscope? So as you can see in the picture, so it is the compound microscope. It consists of an eyepiece, and the objective is there, and so in the down you can see mirror to reflect the light towards the image. So this is basically, this is the structure of a compound microscope. So when you observe it under the compound microscope, you can see some definite structures in the peels. So if we try the above activity taking onion bulbs of different sizes, so this is the structure that we observe in the peels. So even if we try taking onions of different sizes and perform the similar activity, that means if we take the peel and observe under a compound microscope, we will see the same structure again and again. So this concludes what? So this concludes that the structure remains same for all the onion peels, irrespective of the shape and size. So therefore these structures are the basic building units of the onion bulb. So these structures are called cells. So these structures, these definite structures, are known as cells. So now The next subtopic is the cell theory. What is the cell theory? All plants and animals are composed of cells, and the cell is the basic unit of life. So in the previous activity we have already discussed that cell is the basic unit of life. So according to the cell theory, all plants and animals are composed of cells, and cells is the basic unit of life. So it is proposed by Schleiden, two German scientists, Schleiden and Schwann, in 1839. So this theory is again further expanded by Virchow, which is the name of another scientist, Virchow, in 1855, that all cells arises from pre-existing cells. So according to the theory of Virchow, that all cells actually arise from pre-existing cells. So with the inventions of magnified glasses and more improved microscopes actually led to the discovery of microscopic world. So types of organisms, with the discovery of microscopic world, we are able to differentiate the different kinds of or different types of organisms based on the number of cells. So these types of organisms that we have classified, it is based on the number of cells. There are two types basically, unicellular and multicellular organism. So what is unicellular organism? Unicellular organism is the organism which have only single cell, and that single cell performs all the activities, that is consumption food or secretion of waste materials, everything. It is a single cell. The unicellular organism consists of a single cell which performs all the activities or all the functions. Some of the examples are Chlamydomonas, so Paramecium and bacteria, and it is given in the picture also, as you can see. So in multicellular organisms, many cells group together to perform various functions in the body and also to form different body parts. So actually many cells, they are grouped together to perform various functions in the body, and this group of cells also form different parts of the bodies. Like we have got different organs, so this group of cells forms, a group of cells forms the heart, a group of cells forms the kidney, liver. So they form the various parts of the body, and these various parts of the body are responsible for performing various functions in the body. So example of some multicellular organisms are fungi, plants, animals, etc. So as it consists of group of cells or many cells, the shape and size of the cells are different according to the kind of function they perform. So according to the kind of function they perform, the cells are different. That means the cell found in the stomach will be different from that of the cell found in the heart or that of the cell found in the kidney. So this shape and size of the cells differ according to the kind of function they perform. So there is a division of labor in the cells. So in case of multicellular organism, there is a division of labor among the cells. As the heart is responsible for pumping blood, the stomach is responsible for digesting the food. So there is a division of labor in the cells. So there is a note that we have to take a note that there is a division of labor even in the unicellular organisms also. But what happens in the case of unicellular organisms, since a single cell is responsible for performing all the activities, therefore the cell consists of organelles. As we later on will study, the cell consists of organelles. So there are different parts in the cells, and the specific organelle is responsible for performing specific task for the cell. So therefore in case of unicellular organism also there is division of labor, but this division of labor is not among the different organs or different parts of the body. This is among the different organelles of the cells. Like in our body we have different organs to perform different activities. Similarly in case of unicellular organisms there are different organelles to perform different activities. So that's all for today.